Welcome back to the club. My name is Ashlyn. I'm one of your hosts, and I'm here with my best girl in the world, Miss Katie Cooper Hoyt. How you doing, Katie?
I'm doing great. We just did seriously like the most fun recap, catch up,
Yes,
pop
we did. What
culture.
is this, May now? So we did a May kind of catch up, seeing what the girlies are doing. So if you're interested in our lives, pop culture, Taylor Swift, if you're not, why are you
Yeah,
here?
like literally, this is not the place for you.
But if you want to hear us just gab a little bit, we just did an hour-long episode catching up, talking about all the shits, and we would love to have you over there. If you're on YouTube, you are not being fooled. I did get an iPad. However, it's my husband's from like 2013. So
Yeah.
um, we're updated. I got a new mic.
Oh.
Hopefully, no echoing this time. If you were one of the three people who listened to our episode last month before we uploaded the edited audio,
Oh.
I'm so sorry. I tried to listen to it and it was like clanging around. The echoes were so bad.
So bad. And
Katie spent hours editing them all out and then we uploaded the wrong one.
you guys, seriously, I'm so sorry. And I'm not even going to like take responsibility. The software that I use to edit the video, on the software, it sounded like we were great. No echoes, nothing. When I exported it, echoes galore. So I did go back and fix it, re-uploaded it, all good to go. But seriously?
So if you stopped listening because of that, great news, it's fixed. And we are learning something new about podcasting every time we
Yes.
come here. Okay, great for like our adult life, learning new things, whatever. But the way I'm so fucking sick of it, of learning a lesson
You
every
guys,
time we come over here.
every time you come over, it is an hour and a half to 2 hours before we start recording.
Yes.
No matter what, if it's because like you needed to pump before we recorded or someone's here to fix the door at my
Oh yeah,
house.
that happened last time. And then this time I got the new mic. We thought it was going to be the easiest setup ever, but Riverside changed the way they do the second shooter camera, so the camera was echoing us. It was I can't I don't there's
Yeah.
no reason to explain this, but an insane experience.
Yes, but we figured it out.
We figured it out. We got one episode already wrapped and ready to go, and now we're gonna talk to you guys about a fate, a fate inked in blood, and I'm so lit. So let's first of all talk about what we're currently reading. Obviously, this was the May book, but I have a feeling that you've been doing some extra work.
Okay, actually, like surprisingly, I haven't been. We have
Really?
seriously been so busy. I haven't really had much time, but my husband is gone for a week. And so, girls, get ready. If you follow me on Goodreads, it's about to be like rapid fire. Like, I'm seriously going to read 20 books this week. Like, I'm so
Wow.
excited. I have a
Do
lineup
you okay,
going.
that's what I was gonna
Yeah,
ask. Like, do you have them ready to go?
yes, I do. But I have recently read Six of Crows. I posted a review on the club. Like, if you don't know, we post just random book reviews. They're all saved to a highlight, but I posted a review. So, my brother in law wanted to read a book. I obviously wanted him to read fantasy. Six of Crows is not so like romance forward, but I had read Shadow and Bone, which you do not need to read in order to read Six of Crows, but it is set in the same world. And Six of Crows takes place after Shadow and Bone. So just if you want to. But I recommended Six of Crows. We read it together. I went chapter for chapter with
Oh,
him. It
really?
was seriously so much fun.
Was the
Um,
book actually good or was it just fun
no,
because you were
like
with Dylan?
the book was so good, especially if you go into it knowing there is romance, there's not spice. The
Okay.
romance, literally, I'm like so fucking obsessed with
Okay.
this one couple. Oh my God, I'm so obsessed.
Okay, maybe I should read it.
I actually need like a smut novel of just these two because it's so good.
Okay.
But we're gonna read. So Six of Crows has a second book. It's a duology called
Oh, there's only 2.
Yes,
Okay.
Crooked Kingdom. My brother-in-law started it. I have not started it yet because I just have had some other things, other business that I had to
Yeah.
take care of. That I highly recommend it. Seriously, it's so good. There's a heist, which I'm such a whore for a heist.
You are.
I love it. So that's good. And then I started reading Hannah Brown's rom-com
Yes, same.
book. You did?
Yes, I just started it. So I do want to preface by saying I also had a very, very busy month. I am sick. If you have not listened to the video before this or whatever, the podcast before this, I'm sick. So if you hear me sniffling, I'm so sorry. I know I sound a little bit deeper toned, but so just to get through this book, I had to read it on my phone. I had to get it on the
Mhm.
Kindle app, get the hardcover, and on the way to the beach, I had to listen to it on audiobook, which I didn't realize that
Okay.
Spotify just, like, has that on their subscription service.
Okay.
So it's free. It wasn't really that big of a deal, but they have every book pretty much.
You enlightened me to that, and apparently you only get, like, 15 hours a month or
Oh, shit,
something.
that makes more sense because
Okay.
I could not figure out, like, how is this included?
No, because, like, people just would, like, read all
Yeah.
these books for free, or
Yeah.
not for free, but, for your Spotify monthly
Right.
payment.
Okay, that makes way more sense because I was listening to this book, and I wanna say the book itself on Spotify was, like, 9 hours, and my husband has the same subscription. It's well,
Okay.
I use his, and he was listening to the Elon Musk book.
Okay.
So I was like, I hope there's not, like, actually a limit, but I guess there
Okay,
is.
yeah.
Okay. So I finished it, and then I had already bought the Hannah Brown book.
Okay.
It is beautiful.
No, like, the cover is stunning.
So good, and, I'm moving to Utah, and there's, like, the big red rocks. I was like, "My house
Mhm.
is gonna be in Utah," and it just literally isn't, so,
Yeah. Yeah.
no spoilers about where it is taking place, but I was like, "Damn, I thought it
No,
was gonna be in Utah."
it's so good, and even just, like, the beginning, like, the, mental picture is stunning. So
Yes. Um, I'm already, like, 30 pages. I feel like I'm just, like, absorbing it so much more quickly than any fantasy because it drops you in, either in a US city
Mhm.
today, like, there's not, like, this big framework of world you have to
Right.
build, so you can just eat it
You
up.
automatically understand the world that they're in. There's no understanding the magic system, what gods they pray
Oh
to,
my
like,
god, yeah,
nothing. So, it's so nice every now and then just pick up a rom-com and just absolutely devour it.
agree, and speaking of rom-coms, I was at Target yesterday, and I didn't realize that the new Emily Henry had come out. It was 30% off. I swiped it. I cannot wait. I have been needing Emily Henry in my
Uh-huh.
life, and it's summer, no better time.
So, I know someone who finished it. She said potentially she likes it better than Happy Place, which is her favorite Emily Henry. So, like,
Okay.
no, like, the way I need it injected into my bloodstream, I'm so excited.
Oh, I can't wait, and she does them a little thicker
Uh-huh.
than, like, other like, she'll give us a story,
Mhm.
and you just finished People We Meet on Vacation recently.
Yes.
What are your thoughts?
I thought it was fine. I
Yeah,
mean,
I don't love it, don't hate it.
no, it's dead last for me from all her books.
That's still saying a lot, though, because it's still her.
Right. I don't understand why people are, like, so adamantly against it. I really don't because and maybe if you exclusively read romance or rom-com books, I could say maybe you not liking it. For someone who only dabbles between these insane fucking series that we
Yeah,
read, for me, it's exactly what I'm looking for.
yeah.
So, yeah, maybe it's just like a difference in
I think so, too,
perspective.
and people who don't read that often and they wasted, like, a month reading that, it's
Yeah,
kinda like,
no, that's honestly such a good point because,
yeah,
like, it's friends to lovers, and that's obviously not
not high
our
stakes at all.
yeah, that's not our thing at all.
Yeah, no.
So I can see that. But other than that, I haven't really been reading much. The Spark of the Everflame, book 4, comes out on my
Oh,
birthday.
there are already 4?
Mhm.
Oh my gosh, okay.
It comes out on my birthday, June 1st. If you start now, you won't have to wait that long, or it'll come out before you finish the 3rd book because the 3rd book is 1,000 pages long.
Oh my god.
But
But you love this series.
I seriously, like, I don't know why more people aren't talking about it. Seriously, like, it is so good.
Okay.
So, looking forward to that. I've got a couple others that I'm really excited about on my TBR that I'll be dabbling into this week while I have the opportunity to read, and I'll report back next month.
Okay, yes, keep us posted. I wonder if there's a way to buy audiobooks on Spotify after you've reached your limit.
Ooh, that's a
That would
good
be
point.
nice
Yeah.
because then we're moving. I mean, we'll be in the car for days. So
Yeah.
I'm like, what can I do to like make that happen
Right.
quicker? So maybe that's an option.
Yeah, I think you should definitely look into that. If not an Audible, you can always just
That's
purchase on
true. I
on
can,
Audible.
yeah.
So,
Okay. Good point.
okay. Um, anything else before we dive in?
No, I think we're good. We can start if you're ready.
Okay, absolutely. So let's get started with our author biography and our book synopsis. Which one would you like to read?
I can do the book synopsis.
Okay, so we'll start with our author biography. This book is by Danielle L. Jensen. So, Danielle L. Jensen is the USA Today bestselling author of The Bridge Kingdom, Dark Shores, and Malediction series, as well as the Saga of the Unfated, which is this book. Which is the first and only book that is available in this series. She was born and raised in Calgary, Canada. She graduated in 2003 from the University of Calgary with a bachelor's degree in finance, then went back to school in 2010 to complete her degree in English literature at Mount Royal University and to pursue publication. Her novels are published internationally in 15 languages, which is impressive.
Impressive.
She still lives in Calgary today with her family and her guinea pigs. Her
Gag. Okay,
Okay, right.
next.
Her first novel, Stolen Songbird, was published in 2014, and she has averaged publishing one book a year ever since.
Okay, that's respectable. Like, there is
Yeah,
no need to push it beyond that if that's your limit.
completely agree. Lest we forget Miss.
Jennifer L. Armentrout. Yeah, totally.
Yes,
Um, she there's a series that she did that The Bridge
Bridge
Kingdom. Did you read
Kingdom.
that?
I did read the first two books in the Bridge Kingdom. It's
Okay.
like, I think it's a series of three duologies. So I only read the first one. The second one is out, and I've heard that it's better. We'll get into it. I do not feel the need to continue on in the series. But yeah, just so you know,
Yeah,
it's
if
available.
you're really into this book, she has others
Yeah.
that one actually got a little moment on TikTok for a minute. So
But yeah, I've said it before, and I will say it literally until I'm blue in the face. Bridge Kingdom is not fantasy.
yeah, you did. Yep, I remember you having that take. So
So it's not a take. Like it's just,
it's just a
yeah,
fact.
it's just a fact. Like there's not magic. There's not gods. There's not. They're just regular people.
Got it.
So
Okay,
there's just like swords and stuff. So it's not. It's not sci-fi. Like
it's
no.
nothing.
Like
It's
literally.
just medieval
Yeah.
romance. Okay,
Exactly. So okay, let's move on. If you would like to read the novel that is the book synopsis.
absolutely. A shield maiden, blessed by the gods, battles to unite a nation under a power hungry king while also fighting her growing desire for his fiery son. In this Norse inspired fantasy romance from the best selling author of the Bridge Kingdom series. Bound in an unwanted marriage, Freya spends her days gutting fish but dreams of becoming a warrior and of putting an axe in her boorish husband's back. Freya's dreams abruptly become reality when her husband betrays her to the region's Jarl, landing her in a fight to the death against his son, Bjorn. To survive, Freya is forced to reveal her deepest secret. She possesses a drop of a goddess's blood, which makes her a shield maiden with magic capable of repelling any attack. It was foretold such a magic would unite the fractured nation of Scotland beneath the one who controls the shield maiden's fate. Believing he's destined to rule Scotland as a king, the fanatical Jarl binds Freya with a blood oath and orders Bjorn to protect her from their enemies. Desperate to prove her strength, Freya must train to fight and learn to control her magic, all while facing perilous tests set by the gods. The greatest test of all, however, may be resisting her forbidden attraction to Bjorn. If Freya succumbs to her lust for the charming and fierce warrior, she risks not only her own destiny, but the fate of all the people she swore to protect.
Okay.
My God.
I have some questions, but first I just want to say I was planning to read the book, so you didn't need to give the book.
Yeah, this is the plot. Like she just said the whole plot.
Okay, so here's my questions. Number one, is a shield maiden, is that a general term understood
Yeah,
by,
why isn't it capitalized and why is it a shield maiden? Like
is
I
that
thought it was the.
is that a term or is that specific to this? I genuinely don't know.
I have
Like,
no clue.
okay, I actually to this day like don't really know what a shield maiden is. I don't know if it's specific to this book or if that's a term that like I should.
No, I fully assumed it was specific to this, but I
Okay.
don't have a lot of other like fantasy
Yeah.
like this
Yeah.
type of experience. So
Yes.
I don't know if it's something that's been used before.
Okay. My second question is it says like she's always dreamed of becoming a warrior and like and that she has to train and learn to control her magic. And like the way
Don't happen.
those plot lines like do not play out in the story. You're told at the beginning that she wanted to be a warrior, but it actually like never really comes through.
Yeah, she doesn't ever train, and actually had that down, to talk about
Okay.
later,
Okay.
but also never really magical training or anything like I don't know if she wrote this whenever she wrote her outline of the book and then just never edited it,
No,
or if it was
literally.
just like, this is what you need to know for the background. Like, we don't read these, so like
Yeah.
don't put background information that we need to know only in the
Yeah,
synopsis.
because like that doesn't play out. So we'll get into it. Before we start into our character lineup, I want to just talk briefly about the audio version of the book because you had mentioned, and
Yes.
also I don't know if we ever posted about this, but there was a pronunciation guide on her website where you could play and listen to it, someone say it.
Yes, which I needed for most of these
I
words.
greatly appreciate that. But I just want to say the pronunciations are so fucking funny and so deranged the way that
Yes.
the person speaking is saying them.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's like so bad, but I'm
So
obsessed.
that's who is speaking the whole entire audiobook.
I wondered after you told me that it was like the audio was kind of crazy. I wondered if the pronunciations were like clipped from the
They
audio.
are.
Okay.
And but it's not just those, it's like every word is said with this like Norse, I guess, Norse
Okay.
accent. But sometimes it teeters into Latina.
What?
I don't know how else to explain that, but some of the words, they sounded like my Latina friends that like primarily speak Spanish, their pronunciation of the same word in English. So it was really funny to listen to because it kept kind of going back and forth. And sometimes the words, like, because this person was speaking so much, like sometimes the same word wouldn't be said exactly the same.
Okay.
You know how
Mhm.
that happens in English as well. So it was
Right.
just like interesting. But the way listening to the sex scenes with that voice was so entertaining. Because well, first of all, I've never listened to an explicit audiobook before.
Mhm.
I only listened to them whenever I was like in college and bored, and they were just, I don't even know. They were like Hunger Games esque, like not like,
Yeah.
sure, they had like a love interest, but no sex scenes.
Yeah.
So that was hilarious because she'd be like, his thick cock. And like,
Stop.
yes. And then the next thing, they just move on to the next battle. And I'm like, this is so insane that you
So
could just like listen to
the
this.
narrator, it wasn't only the like spoken parts, like the dialogue parts, like the entire thing she narrated in that accent?
Oh yeah. Yeah, because the whole thing, like you're thinking when you're reading, you're thinking from Freya's point of view. So everything is in Freya's accent. And then obviously she has to like do different voices for each character. So that was
Right.
really funny. It was, I enjoyed it. I really
That
enjoyed it.
is actually so funny. That's like intriguing. Like
Yeah, I like preferred to listen to it, I think.
that is so funny.
Especially at least just to get, I listened to those names, but to hear them a couple of different times in the
Yeah.
chapters really helped a lot more whenever I went back to reading it, whenever I had a second to like
Yeah.
read it in the
Yeah.
book. It helped so much, but it was also just, oh my God, a marvelous experience.
That
Like I
is
loved
that
it.
is so funny. One time I read a book and the characters were Irish and I don't know if you're like familiar, but like the Irish accent is like kind of jarring, like Maura Higgins
Yes.
from
The
Love Island.
only That's exactly what I was thinking. It was Love Island.
It's like a little bit jarring. And so when they were like having really serious conversations, like, I'm sorry, I can't because your accent is so crazy. Yeah,
Distracting.
no,
Yeah.
literally distracting. So anyway, I didn't listen to that on audiobook. It was just like something that I was thinking about in my head. Like,
Like this would be, yeah, this is
yeah,
weird.
um, that's so funny.
Yes, it was very, very
Maybe I'll
interesting.
just go like on Spotify and just play a chapter just so I can like
Just to get
hear.
a snippet,
Yeah.
yeah, and I think that would be worth it, to be honest.
Okay. So let's move on to our character lineup. We'll start with our main character, Freya. What were your thoughts?
I like her, but I am not like obsessed, like favorite main character
Hmm.
type of like I just, she's okay.
Yeah.
Um, I felt like she was really hot and cold with her emotions. She was kind of erratic.
Mhm.
I think she could have used a little bit more, not maybe like maturity is the word I'm looking
Yeah.
for. I don't know, experience.
Yeah.
Like obviously she was married to Vragi or whatever, and he
Mhm.
didn't treat her well, but it didn't seem like she had like life experience.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Which I know at one point it was mentioned that she never had really left the village before all this happened to
Yeah.
her. So I'm guessing that's where that, played a role. But I really wish, since she didn't have any experience, that she did go through training and
Mhm.
magical honing. But it sort of, everything was sort of just thrown at her, and she
Yeah.
just kind of had to go with the flow and just kind of push forward with
Yeah.
no training and no understanding of like the risks, which obviously the battle scene at Grendel was, I mean, she almost got herself killed and
Yeah.
had no clue until it was over. And
Right.
so it just, I really wanted her to be a little bit more well rounded, I guess.
Completely agree. I had actually never even considered that like we don't really have like a back story on her other than like her conception story. Like we don't
Right.
really know about her upbringing or her life immediately before she got married or anything like that. So I actually wrote down pretty much the same thing. Like, I don't hate her, but I don't feel like she has any like standout personality traits or anything that is like really endearing me
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
her.
And I feel like she was a little bit gullible. Like she swore the blood oath to Snorri,
Hmm.
and she kind of just dove right into this guy controls me. She never questioned the seer's prophecy or anything like that,
Yes,
which I feel like uh, was vague.
completely. I actually had like that complaint about pretty much the entire book. I felt like everything was vague. I didn't fully even like understand the prophecy. Um, I didn't really fully understand when she had like the tattoo on her, like what happened when she was almost ripped apart. Like I don't really fully understand what happened because I felt like it wasn't explained well. The thing about Freya is that she was like gullible, but I felt like it never even like occurred to her, like, what if I like did something about my situation?
Yes, she was like, I am now stuck here because I have to save my people. And let's talk about, you just moved
Uh
here. These
huh.
are not your people. Why do you
No,
give a fuck if they live or die?
no. And like, I kept thinking to myself, why doesn't someone just fucking kill Snorri? Like, seriously, just kill him. There's not anything like stop. He's not like an all powerful being, like, everybody's scared to go up against him. And every now and then, the author would bring you back and say, Freya can't do anything because if she does, then her family is at risk. You know, he's like got them by the balls
But
pretty
nobody's dead.
much. Like, you can figure out a plan. All that she had to do, because Gear and Ingrid and her mom were just like being watched by one guard. Like, seriously, send Bjorn to kill the guard and then have your family slip away and then you do whatever you need. The plan doesn't need to be extravagant.
No,
Like,
you could just fix the
no,
problem.
literally, like just do something about it. And he's like, it's all about this. He controls her fate and she doesn't really want him to, but it's like,
I feel like she really sold herself on the prophecy being true. She
yes,
like ate up every word that Snorri was saying about
yes,
the god said this, the gods are doing this, without questioning any of it. And it's like,
yeah.
no, he's literally just some random
And
guy.
he's just like manipulating the seer's prophecy to fit what he wants to
He
happen.
manipulated almost every single thing that happened to them into some conjuring of the
Right.
gods. It was
Exactly.
crazy.
It was so crazy. That was pissing me off. Like she just wouldn't help herself. Absolutely hate arse instead of ass.
Oh my god. Hate.
And I also loathe with every fiber of my being born in fire. That's not a nickname. That's not
Yeah. It would just be easier to say Freya.
Literally, like, that's not, like, so sick, like, that she's born in I'm sorry, like, I'm not moved by that in any way.
You know, I agree. I liked that she had a nickname, but
Mhm.
it being that doesn't really do it
No.
for me one way or the other. One thing that I was pretty shocked by, and I'm kind of excited to see where it goes, is her being a daughter of hell. Because
Yeah.
I didn't think that was, how are we to know that was even a thing? Because
Right.
these gods weren't really introduced to us.
Right.
But it made so much sense. Hel,
Mhm.
Helheim
Mhm.
is literally called hell with one L, like Crescent City.
Yeah.
So the whole time we're bitching about it being a real word,
Yeah.
it was already a real word with one L.
Exactly.
I had no clue.
Yeah, no, neither did I. I thought that was a really, like, creative thing to work into the story. Like, it's kinda like you got me there, but I just have this, like, recurring theme where I don't feel like ideas and concepts and even descriptions or, like, visuals are developed at all. I don't feel like characters are developed. I don't feel like relationships are developed. Everything seems to be falling flat for me, and that was, like, another thing I was like, "Oh, wow." But not so much that I'm like,
Yeah.
that I don't know, nothing about this book, and I'm kinda, like, burying the lead, but, like, nothing moved me in this book, and I just really feel, like, completely neutral about everything. I did really enjoy the story of her conception and, like,
Oh,
what
that was
happened.
cool. That was cool.
I liked it, but I was kinda mad that it wasn't Loki because you don't watch the Marvel movies,
No.
but the way Loki is literally such an icon, like, he's for the girls. I wish more than anything it would have been Loki instead of Hel that, like,
But I don't
showed
think it would have
up.
been our Marvel Loki.
No, 100% it wouldn't have, but, like, for me personally in my
It's Tom
mind,
Hiddleston.
yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
got it.
100%. So, that was, like, upsetting to me, but that's not, like, the author's fault, I'm not holding that against her.
I did find it very interesting that there being a drop of a god's blood meant that they literally fucked your parents.
No, like, that was insane.
Insane, but also hilarious. Like, I loved that little
Mhm.
tidbit
Uh-huh.
because I mean, there has to be a way that it happened. Go ahead, explain
Yeah,
it to us. Like,
yeah,
that's hilarious.
no, literally, it's not just like, "Oh, I was
This
blessed."
idea. Right,
Yeah.
right. It's like, no, your mom and dad got fucked by
Yeah.
this goddess. Like,
And her mom was like, "I was so
I
exhausted."
slept for days. Oh my god, good for
Like,
you, girl.
no, literally, like, her mom got absolutely railed. So, I thought that was hilarious. Another thing about Freya is that I feel like it was, like, really throwing me off. She was so crass sometimes with the things that she would say when she just, like, calls Bjorn's horse ugly one time. Do you remember that? It's, like,
Yeah.
right before they're gonna go in the tunnel, and she's like, "His ugly roan came walking up." I was like, "Oh my god, like, was that necessary? How is that adding to the plot in any
Oh my
way?"
gosh, yeah, and then there was a couple of times where she would randomly she would go back and forth where she was, like, really, um, crass like that,
Mhm.
but then also sometimes where she seemed really shy. So, like,
Mhm.
which is it? But she was hot and cold in a lot of different ways,
Mhm.
that being one of them, and then the other one being like, "This is the plan. Oh, no, this is the plan. This is my calling. Oh, no, this is my calling."
Mhm.
Like, the end, especially with Bjorn, whenever they finally have sex, and then she's like, "Oh my god, I'm in love with this guy. We're gonna run away. Oh, no,
Mhm.
I can't run away. My family, blah, blah." Oh my god. Get a grip.
Yeah.
Take 1 second to breathe
Mhm.
and decide. Like,
Yeah.
you don't it doesn't have to be just, like, this flight of emotions and ideas. You can sit down and make a
No, no,
decision. You have
literally,
time.
100%. So, with Bjorn, we can get into him. I personally did not feel chemistry with them. I hated that you meet him on, like, page 7. I hated that
Oh
part of
my
the
god,
book.
out of I don't even know if it was 7, it might have been, like,
No,
3.
literally, like, you meet him immediately, and I'm like, "Well, now I know what's gonna happen."
Yeah.
Hated that, and I even texted you. I had started the book when we were in Cancun, and I said, like, "I'm, like, 12 pages in, and I literally hate this book." And you were like, "No, like, I'm 50 pages in.
It's a little better,
It
yeah.
gets a lot better." And it did. It did improve from there, and I liked it a lot more as I went on, but that to me I was like, "Don't." It's same as, King of Battle and Blood, like, you get introduced to the male main character so early, and I absolutely hate it.
Yeah. I agree with that. I put that I thought he was just an okay male main character. At the end, I did like him,
Mhm.
um, but he wasn't really her enemy, but they weren't friends. Like he was very much opposed to the role of being in charge of her, kind of.
Uh-huh.
And then all of a sudden, they're in love with each other.
Yeah.
No development, no flirting, no getting close, no sneaking around
No.
at the beginning. All of a sudden, it's I have these crazy feelings for him whenever they were walking through the caves.
Mhm.
And I was like, well, when did those come about, babe? Because we haven't been introduced to
No,
that.
exactly. Like, you know that she's attracted to him, but you don't know anything about feelings. I put that Bjorn is just like a good guy. He is not, he needs to have a stronger personality, either in being like so powerful because he just like bends to whatever his dad says. He's like a good person and he doesn't try to hide it at all. Like, he's nice to her, goes along with anything, but he's not like giving me enough. Like, I need him to, like, I don't know, like, not like lead her on or something. Like, I needed more from him.
I was so happy that there was a betrayal at the end because I was like, at least he's giving me something
100%, even though you could see the betrayal coming
from miles away.
from literally when he very first says, "The people in Nordland treated me really well." You're like, "Okay, so he's working for Nordland."
Yeah,
Like,
got it.
yeah,
Clocked. And then
immediately.
he's like, you saw Ilva. It was for sure her. And he's like, kind of talking her out of him, like, okay, bro, it was you and your mom.
Right. Right.
Duh.
I just felt like he was giving realistic good guy. Like,
Yep.
just a good person who doesn't he didn't feel like overly powerful to me. Like, he wasn't like Bjorn, the feared warrior that everybody's scared of. And like, that's not endearing to me. He needs to be like the biggest and
Yeah,
baddest.
which I feel like in some ways he was, but then he has to like run away with his tail tucked because he's a child of Thor. Like,
Yeah.
no, this should be your worthy opponent.
No, literally. I wasn't feeling it. I know that we already said like Snorri just talks out of his ass, but when he was saying like their fates are intertwined, to me, this author does a lot of tell, not show. Like, she'll just say like their fates are intertwined.
Well, the showing, which was very confusing,
Right,
was whenever he could see what happened to
right.
her when was it
When she has like the
when Helene
tattoo.
does the tattoo and
Yes.
she's getting ripped apart, he's the only one that can see what's happening to
Yeah.
her, and they like lock eyes or
Yeah.
whatever, and she realizes that this is actually happening or whatever,
Right.
but no one else could see it. They just saw
Right.
her
And
laying
and
there.
Snorri's like, your fates are intertwined. And the author's like, you got it? Their fates are intertwined. And then like we just like move
Which
on.
the whole time we've been questioning everything Snorri says, so why would we believe that part?
Exactly. It wasn't like a
I
convincing
know, like, I don't feel inclined to listen to everything this guy says. I'm sorry. He's not a prophet.
no. Like, and I actually hate him.
Yeah,
So
so why do we want what he says to be correct?
exactly. One thing about Bjorn is I wrote down, I will not be picturing a man bun. I'm so sorry. Like, shaved sides of the head and man bun.
Oh, it's shaved? I was literally just picturing Cassian.
No. Shaved on the sides.
No.
Man bun. No. That's like, ew.
Okay, so Ariana's new boyfriend on Vanderpump Rules.
Right.
Shaved all the way around, and then whenever he lets his hair down on top, it comes down to his ass. But he just wears it in a bun.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
No. I'm not going to be picturing that. So I pictured Reese because
You were just like short hair.
yeah. I was just like, he's going to look the way that I want him to
So I'm
look.
like, man bun, okay, Cassian.
Mhm.
Got it.
Mhm.
But I did not realize it was shaved.
Shaved on the sides. Yeah, I'm not going to be doing that.
I also don't think I would have had an easy time picturing her if I did not have the physical copy of the book because it didn't really describe her except for amber
Mhm.
eyes.
Yeah, and like blonde hair.
Yeah.
I think she even described it as like icy or like
Like
almost even
white.
yeah, silver.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'm getting that confused with another book, but one thing that bugged me when they're, like, in the tunnel with the Draug or I forgot how you pronounce it, and he's, like, challenges them, and he's like, "Come out and fight me, like, whatever." And he's like, "Trust me, I have a plan." Literally, why would he not just tell her the plan?
Yeah,
There
because
wasn't
apparently the plan was for her to figure out the plan.
like, just tell her. Because what if she did like, it's not like in a lot of other fantasy books, it's like there's other circumstances that prevent them from like, either they don't have an opportunity to communicate with each other, or there's some kind of, like, mind reading, or, like, people would be able to hear the plan or something like that.
Yeah, but they've been walking together for days. Just tell her
Yeah,
what you're
like,
gonna
no,
do.
literally just say that it bothered me so bad that it just felt like a plot point, another thing that the author's like, "This is what
You got
happened."
it?
Yeah, no, literally, that's how it felt. So, yeah, I just fell flat for me.
I agree. I wasn't really into that whole saga, and then it was weird because I felt like those times could have been used to develop their romance, but
Yes.
the way she wrote it was that the feelings were already developed by Freya and she was avoiding the feelings.
Yeah.
So instead of using that as a time to make the relationship actually have some kind of legs,
Mhm.
it was just, oh, I have to avoid him because I'm in love with him. And
Yeah.
I just didn't know when that occurred.
Yeah. I completely agree. I just
Weird.
I just think that the author, she can develop a general story, and she doesn't do a very good job filling in the gaps
Okay.
of the story.
Yeah.
That's
Is
kind
that
of
kind of how Bridge Kingdom was too?
You know what? I don't feel comfortable speaking to that because Bridge Kingdom, I believe, was the first fantasy series that I read outside of Sarah J. Maas. Like, I
Okay.
finished Kingdom of Ash, which was my last SJM book, and started the Bridge Kingdom. So I don't know. Like, I remember thinking, like, well, this is fine, but not great because I had just read,
Yeah.
The Queen. So I don't know. I do remember Bridge Kingdom was really corny. Like, the ending of
Mm.
chapters, and there was a chapter in here that I was just like, "Ugh." I hated the way that she ended it. But
Do you remember which one it was?
it was I can't remember. It's like something about her heart. Like, I don't know. I've got it on my notes on my phone, but my phone's the second
Damn.
camera. So
Okay. Well, moving right along. So we talked about him a little bit already. Snorri,
mhm.
piece of shit, idiot,
Idiot.
hate.
I hate him, and at the same time, he's not bad enough for me. I need him to be more evil and more cunning and more manipulative.
Like, I totally agree because you can't be this leader. I'm going to be in charge of the shield maiden. I'm going to blah, blah, blah. And then willy nilly go into a losing battle and just be a fucking idiot. You have to be someone that people want to follow.
Exactly. Like, that's what's getting me is, why are people not just killing him? Like, what's
He's
stopping
not
people?
scary
No,
enough.
like, what is causing people to be loyal to him? Because it's definitely not out of fear. Like,
No,
what
I
do they
don't
have to
know.
fear?
I actually don't know because I feel like if he were dead, a lot of the problems would be solved because Life, the sun,
Mhm.
which isn't it Leif Erikson Day?
100%, but the pronunciation says life,
Yes.
which I hated.
It also says
I was just saying
Geir,
leaf.
and I'm like, gear?
Yeah, no, literally.
Um, but Life would just be king or jarl, whatever.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I'm really not sure why he's still alive and still any kind of threat because it seems like King Harold could just annihilate him and be done with it.
Anyone could. Like, he's not blessed by the gods. He doesn't have special powers. So, like, what's stopping anyone? She didn't back anything up. Like, she's just like, he's the Jarl and he's all powerful and he's going to be the king. But, like, fucking
He
why?
doesn't even have magic.
Exactly. Like, there's nothing.
Nothing compelling about this man at all. I don't understand the way his actions kind of are like just like a one big manic episode.
No, literally.
He has these delusions that he's like supposed to be in charge and then all of these visions from the gods and everyone's just going along with it.
Yeah. Especially, like, Ilva. this is what I don't understand. So they, like, really love each other. They're, like, all into each other.
Allegedly, yeah.
But he cheated on her in the beginning with Bjorn's mom, and that's
And
how.
apparently a god, right?
Right,
Had to
because
be.
yeah, because Tyr, I
Tear.
think, um, w why would he cheat on Ylva? Even I mean, and maybe we missed something, and maybe she said, like, they didn't always have the relationship that they have
No, I don't know
now.
because whenever they're about to literally have sex with Freya, how crazy would that have been?
Mhm,
She's like, "I can't see this again."
mhm.
So it seems like she was really affected by
Yeah,
that. And then when Bjorn's talking about his upbringing, he's like, they were married.
yeah.
So we just need more information on almost everything.
No, literally, like, I actually don't understand why would he cheat. She didn't give us any information to help us understand why he did it. If he and Ylva, I hate saying her name, um, were going strong and hot and heavy the same way that they are now, why would he cheat? Did he do it because he knew that if he slept with her, that he would have a son that would have like she
Oh,
didn't
the
tell
gods
it.
came to him and told him?
Yeah, like
Maybe so.
she didn't tell. The author did not give us literally any background information. It's yet again like, here's this information. You are to believe it and not question anything and not have any other thoughts about like the background of this information.
Yeah, and that's actually how I feel about Freya too. She doesn't have any thoughts about anything he says or does. So she's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna swear this blood oath to you." And now in book 2, when I try to go against you, nothing's gonna work.
And like, let me just say, I do understand her not wanting to have sex with him. Like I really do, especially
Like,
after
yeah, I'll do anything to not do that. Yeah.
yeah, after she got out of that last relationship. If your end goal is to get away from this man, why would you swear an oath to him rather than just sleeping with him one time, especially after you've endured it from Vroggy? Like you obviously have kind of like the mental ability to
Survive it.
withstand something like
Yeah.
that. Like it's one time.
Or, like, make a different bargain. Why does it have to be a blood
Exactly.
oath?
Oh, let's talk about the oath because I thought it was fairly obvious that kept saying like I swear blah 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 to this blood.
His blood, so Bjorn.
Yeah, exactly, like, Bjorn obviously has his blood,
Yep.
so it just feels like amateur hour here, like
I know, but that never came to fruition. I don't know if that's gonna be part of the second book,
yeah.
and, like, part of the second book also being, like, she takes control of her own fate, like, duh. But
Right, right.
but that part was I thought that was really gonna be, like, a big player, like,
Mhm.
I can tell Bjorn about the oath because he's of the blood.
Right.
Because even in the moment, it doesn't say it explicitly, but it's like, in my mind of minds, I knew I couldn't tell him, but then it just the word started spilling out,
Yeah,
like, as if it wasn't really against the rules.
right.
So we're like, "Okay, we're making headway here."
Uh-huh.
Her blood oath was to anyone of the blood. I don't
Yeah,
know, the whole thing is so as long as Bjorn is against Snorri, then she can be on that side, surely.
right.
But who's to say because we didn't find out.
Yeah, there's just a lot of plot holes, unanswered questions, and not in, like, a suspenseful way, but just in a, like, she didn't even develop the story,
Yeah, I
so
agree. So since you love saying this so much, Ilva, how do you feel about her?
okay. I actually hate her. I think I hate her more than I hate Snorri.
Okay.
Um, I don't doubt that she has like gone behind Snorri's back to like do things and kind of manipulate the situation behind his back because I don't necessarily think that she sees things the exact same way that he does or would go about things the same way that he does. I don't doubt that, but she's just like a bitter bitch.
She's so bitter. And I can't respect somebody who's not only blindly following Snorri, but married to him and wants him to take over the world. What the fuck? She is more powerful than him.
No,
She's the
literally.
one that has the magic. Do something about it. And at the end, she's finally gonna help Freya do something to figure out what the fuck they're gonna do because
Mhm.
she finally disagrees with one thing
Yeah.
that Snorri does. And it's like, okay, so you do have a brain in there somewhere.
Right.
You just don't always use it to execute decisions.
Exactly. No, I really think that I hate her more, except for like I could appreciate when they were at the place where the sacrifice was at. I forgot the name of the location.
Fjoltenbyr.
Yes. Um and she's like, "No, we have to get back to Halsar because like the seer said that our village is going to get like attacked or whatever." And she's like desperately like, "That's great because Snorri is literally a maniac."
He's a
Just
maniac. He has like a one-track mind. He's like, we have to keep going. We have to keep going.
yes. So I can respect that she was like, "No, like literally our people are here about to be like slayed by our enemies and you just want to like stay here so that you can attack in on like sacred ground this other place that's your enemy and you've decided that now is the time to do that." He's so like fucked up in the head.
No, he's so fucking crazy. I cannot. But again, like the seer, Bjorn just happened to go see a seer the same
Mhm.
night that homegirl saw a girl run up to their cabin. Like, if A equals B and B equals C.
Right. Like
So his mom was trying to still help save
right.
Halser and whatever. Like the whole thing. I actually loved the idea of Fjaltender because I was like, wow,
Same.
you know, no one can, attack. Everyone's at peace there.
Mhm.
And then that just didn't happen. Like everyone was still out to get her.
There was no drama there except for like, when they're trying to get in and she has to like recite that she's faithful to the gods and whatever else. But that was the only drama that occurred and I was like really waiting for that. Here's my question. Was it not like actually insane that the village gets attacked? Everyone's dead, died, like,
Except for life.
yeah. Um, and the fact that no one's like really that upset about it. Like, they're not hung up. They're like, okay, I guess we just got to go find somewhere else to live. And then they just move on. I'm so sorry. Like, has this author read Akamath when that attack happens and how like devastating it is and not that's not even to the scale
Or
of
literally any other book where like one person is killed. Like it's a tragedy.
right and you need to like it's like it like
You need to build it up and like,
it shapes the main character like
yeah,
and kind of like kicks him in the ass like I've got to be like a bigger part of this. I've got to save people, like, gives him a hero complex
right.
almost like
Yeah. But she's always been like, "Oh, I've gotta save my people," and it's like, "Well, what are you doing to achieve that except for following this man who's going to, like, burn the world to the ground?"
I, I don't know, nothing makes sense to me.
So, I also have that I couldn't stand her. I realized that she is in love with this man for whatever reason, and she does do a lot of the stuff that she does for him and for their son, but why? Like, how did you get into this position?
Right.
So, I don't respect her for that reason.
No, not at all, and I actually feel bad for Life that she is his mom because he seems like a really well-rounded and, like,
Yeah, how did he
respectful
become normal with those 2 leading the show?
and he did not have a big enough role in this book. He was merely like a pawn in the whole her building the plot line of, this is why Ylva hates Bjorn because she wants Life to be the Jarl. She
Yep,
wants Life to inherit, which I
to
absolutely hated the
inherit.
phrasing of,
I hated that too because she kept saying it,
yeah.
to inherit.
Um, but Life was just, like, not part of it, and part of me, like, so badly wants to believe that all these characters because we only have listed pretty much 7 characters here, which was hard for me to even, like, come up with
Yeah.
because I don't actually even feel like the characters that we're about to get into are that major, we just needed some more people to talk about,
Yeah, I agree.
but I so badly want these characters that have come up, like Liv, for instance. I wanted her to be, like, turn into Freya's best friend,
Yeah, she was awesome.
but she got killed off.
Yep.
Same with Bodil. She was like, we were finally starting to get a friend, killed off. So, like life, I don't even think in book 2 he's gonna come back around because obviously now they're headed to Nordland.
Yep. Yeah, I don't really know what there's like a surplus of side characters. Like,
Mhm.
we didn't even talk about Steinen, but
Oh, yeah.
the whatever she is, the what is it called? Scald,
Scald? Yeah.
who sings the songs because literally all she does is sing the songs and walk around and ask for questions about the songs.
Right.
She didn't have any other role except for now we know that she's with Nordland, which is like sick,
Yeah.
perfect.
No,
This adds to her character.
100%. That's great. That's fantastic,
But
but,
that would
like
be a huge surprise if like she had a personality and like an impact on Freya. But she
exactly.
didn't.
No, not at all. So, yeah, do you wanna move on to Bodil?
Yeah, this was like the only person that I really even liked
Same.
because she was like, first of all, a badass. She has a whole army of just women,
Mhm.
the
Love.
maidens, and they're just kicking ass and taking names. And what I feel like in my heart, Bodil only pledged allegiance to Snorri because she saw that there would be like a bigger picture at play, like following wherever Freya's going.
Yeah,
I don't
100%.
think it had anything to do with Snorri because she was always really skeptical of him whenever he would give his big speeches, his battle
Right.
speeches, and his prophecies from the gods. She was always like, "Yeah, right."
Yeah. So I thought the same thing. In my dream world, Ilva is going to actually be against Snorri, and Bodil was supposed to be like on her team, helping her play out this like betrayal against him.
Oh, because they were the ones in
They were friends.
cahoots. So I bet.
Now, I don't think that that is going to happen. Like, I don't think that the author
Yeah,
has an advanced ability to develop the story in that way. But that's my dream
that's actually
situation.
a really good point because I forgot that Bodil was brought on by Ilva anyway.
Yeah.
So we'll put that in her like good category, but that's like the only thing over there.
100%. I thought it was a little bit strange that she detected lies by her feet tingling. Um,
Yeah. So that was such a cool magic.
agree.
I can detect lies. And then for her to be like, "Yeah, my feet tingle." It was funny for
Uh-huh.
sure, and it kind of added a little bit of like interest.
Yeah.
But I wanted her to be able to detect like truth, like everything, like, like even like somewhere in the middle.
Hmm.
So it's just weird that it's just yes or no.
Yes, I agree. I thought it was really cool. I thought it was interesting that she added in the element of like she can also detect like people's tones or intention behind what they're saying, like can also be considered a lie.
Yeah,
I
but then
thought that
you can't tell which it is.
yes. I thought that was an interesting like aspect
Yeah.
to add to it. But the like feet tingling, it was a little bit too like kitschy
Yeah, I
for
think so too.
me.
Because then like, okay, we don't know if it's the intention or the actual words or what it is that it does
Right.
make my feet tingle, they just tingle.
Right.
So it's not as useful as it would be if there were actually different things.
Exactly.
Um, I also thought it was funny for her to be the person that first like feels her and Bjorn's chemistry, even
Yeah.
though there wasn't a ton of it anyways.
Right.
But I did like her kind of like sniffing them out a
Mhm.
bit. I think
Yeah.
I honestly think her knowing kind of like hurried them along into their romance.
Yes.
But of course, they kill off the best character. Of
It
course.
was pissing me off, like, first Liv, and I was like, "No," like,
No, yes, exactly. Like
she
Liv
had
and Bodo.
like, who's Freya's friend? She doesn't
Nobody.
have any, and then at the end, Freya's, like, thinking back to Bjorn, and she's like, "Wait, like, who are his friends? I guess he doesn't really have friends,
Like,
like,
okay, who are yours?
do you?"
Not your brother.
No, like, you don't have friends either, so, like, what are you trying to get at? They just killed off your fucking the only person who was, like, nice to you and lent, like, a a shoulder to you.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And to me, like, God, okay, it's the same thing. It's just like so underdeveloped. Like, to me, it was like they were just starting to bud a friendship
Mhm.
because Bodil was still a little bit iffy on whether she wanted to be a part of this show.
Yeah.
So she was still kind of holding her ground, being a little bit more secretive, and Bjorn didn't trust her.
Mhm.
Obviously, now we know it's because he's a Nordlander,
Right.
but she got that mad that she died? They were not that deep.
No, not at all.
So it's just another confusing part of everything because she definitely had the potential to be Freya's best friend, but
Yes.
I don't think we were at that point yet.
No, not at all. And like I'm like a firm believer that you need to kill some people along the
Yeah.
way, but like you also need to save some, you need to have some close calls, but have like the person actually make it through. Like how interesting would it have been to like somehow recruit Bodil to her side at some later point in the story?
Yeah.
I don't know. Things just like really didn't play out the way that I wanted them to, or even in a way that even though it wasn't the way I wanted it to, I
It made
was,
sense. You were
yeah,
like, "Okay, fine."
or I was like pleasantly surprised. Like,
Yeah.
not at all.
So, okay, speaking of people that got killed, Freya's mom, and we can talk about Geyer and Ingrid with
Hmm.
her too, but like, fuck them, all 3 of them.
No, like literally, it makes me so fucking mad that Ingrid is pregnant because that would be my last, like, no, I don't want Ingrid and the baby to die. Like, that's like the last thing I'm clinging to. Gear and the mom, seriously, like,
Bye.
fuck off. I hated them. The fact that she was still like so hung up on them after all of this. Why?
I don't know, and to be honest, I thought Ingrid at the beginning, like, whenever she, gave her the sword and was like,
Mhm.
"Thank you for doing this for me,"
Yeah.
was, like, actually very, very thankful,
Yeah.
and then Bjorn was like, "Ooh, fuck her," like, she should have at least offered to, like, save you or whatever,
Right.
but then later on, like, none of them were thankful, so I thought maybe she would see all this shit that Freya had gone through, and they would
Mhm.
all change their perspective on what she's gone through to protect them,
Right.
and they just were like, "Nope, thanks again. We're gonna take this big ass house, and you just have fun out there on the road."
They're literally so dumb. Just her mom, like the fact that she sold her daughter out at the end, which like
Crazy.
I know you have to like do what you've got to do, but she was gonna kill you. I'm sorry. Like you could see it coming from a mile away. She was gonna kill you no matter what. So you might as well just like go down swinging.
Just hold your tongue. Be a respectable parent.
I don't know.
Insane.
The fact that Freya then like still went back and was like trying to save Geyer, Gear, and Ingrid after that.
He literally called her a mad bitch. And she's the only reason why you have this house. She's the only reason why you have a job and a life. He would have murdered you if she would have said no to this whole deal.
Literally.
But he's gonna be like, "Oh well, the only reason why I got kicked out of the band is because I kept your secret for you." Okay, that was your decision.
Right.
Like, that has nothing to do with me. You
Mm-mm.
chose to do that.
Right.
It's just crazy. I feel like they all think that they're owed something for being related
Mm,
to Freya, and it's like, well, what does she get?
nothing.
She gets her life ruined by this man you sold her off to so that you could have fish and chickens or whatever you had.
Ew, I hate. Another thing that like really bothered me is that you like get introduced to them at the beginning. I thought it was really sweet. Like she and her brother are close. They have this good relationship. She's best friends with the girl that he likes. Like I thought it was really sweet. Then you go literally to like 50% through the book and you don't hear a peep about them until the author's like, but remember, she can't do anything against Snorri because her family is at his mercy. And you're like, oh yeah, like I
I kept
forgot.
wondering why she wasn't doing anything, and then she said that, and I thought, oh, well, where is Geyer? Was he with their mom
I,
still?
d-
Like, who
I don't
knows?
know. That's what I'm saying. Like nothing is explained. She's not convincing me that Freya should go be doing all of this stuff to save her family because I don't know where the fuck her family is.
Yeah, and uh, La Mama was snuggled up to the guard. Like, he wasn't gonna kill her.
I thought, do you think that the mom and the guard like were fucking?
Yeah, I do think
I
that.
think so too.
But I would have loved to learn that, like, at some point, like
100%. 100%. Like I thought like, oh, this is going to be
like, be
good.
explicit.
Yeah, no, I thought this is going to be good. Freya's going to learn that she and the guard are like a little thing. She's going to get mad. I don't know, something was going to come of it, but like another missed opportunity to make this at least somewhat interesting or like have any kind of shock value and she just missed the mark.
I know, and I was shocked whenever she called Freya a whore for like being with Bjorn because word got through. Like word got through about what? All they did was snuggle up under some covers one night because she was literally had frostbite.
Frostbite. Like,
Who
I don't
cares?
know.
That should not lead to, like, the nation of Scotland learning that she's cuckolding Snorri, like, there is nothing to be told.
The pronunciation of Scotland. I don't know if you listened to it on the pronunciation guide, but it was like Scotland.
That's how they always say it. And huddled. I'm like, "Oh my god, calm down."
So
I had
intense.
to go back when I was listening whenever she first said Harold or Harold, whatever, but that way.
Uh-huh.
I had to go back and, like, figure out how it was spelled because I was like, "I don't know exactly what she's saying."
Okay, that one, and there was another one. Looks like Ragnar, but she kept saying it like Dagnod. And I
I don't
think
even know who that is.
um he right. He was like, I guess the general of Snorri's army. He only pops up like very briefly.
Oh,
You know what I just remembered? That lady that they like bring in with the bag over her head, and Bjorn like chops her head off because if she sees, like, it'll go back to
yep.
Harold. That was like a really interesting point or like concept. And why did it go away that quickly? Like,
I don't know, and why did Bjorn chop the head off? Because if he's with Harold from Nordland.
I don't have any faith that at any point in the second book we will find out why.
Okay, great.
So,
Great.
yeah.
Because that was one interesting there was a couple of things that I thought were interesting,
Mhm.
and then again, like, the ends are still loose. We have no clue what's gonna happen
Very much so.
or what did happen already.
So speaking of Harold and the Nordlander crew, what were your thoughts on them?
Well, I didn't really meet them, so I don't really know, but I liked the girl that killed her mom.
No. Skade and Tora.
Oh, it's actually Skada.
Oh, oh, I'm so sorry. I thought that one was a given. So anyway, they I'm like obsessed with them. I want to know so much more about them. Like they're such badasses. I love that they're women.
I when they said there was a child of Thor, I was like, "Dude, a
Mhm.
guy holding lightning bolt, whatever." But then it
Mhm.
was like this badass girl.
Mhm.
So that actually makes me really intrigued for when Freya does decide that she's gonna come around to the
Yeah.
Nordlanders' idea of what the nation should be united as or
Yeah.
whatever. Because Bjorn, her, and the child of Thor on the same side, what is
Mhm.
anybody gonna do? Tell them no?
No, literally like they're going to be like an elite combo. The four of them together, Sky or whatever the fuck her name is. I'm obsessed, but like of course she doesn't give you anything that you would actually be interested
No. The only
in.
thing was that, like, when she killed the mom, she was like, "Good moms wouldn't do that, so
Mhm.
bye."
Mhm.
So I'm like, "Okay, respectable
Right,
woman, love
exactly.
her."
Also, when Tora gets like absolutely obliterated with I can't remember like the shield and it like burns off her scalp. I seriously, I don't know if you were a Rugrats girl, but Cynthia, Angelica's doll,
Yes, the doll.
literally all I could think about from that point on. That's like how I pictured her.
Oh my god, that's so funny. That's
Um,
so true. I forgot about that part actually, now that you bring it up.
yeah, but I don't know. I had written, do we think Harold is Bjorn's actual real father? But now thinking back to the
The oath,
oath.
it wouldn't work. I had the same thought
Mhm.
because when he came to capture Bjorn, Bjorn was what? Already, like, in his teens,
Yeah,
right? It
I think
wasn't like I
so.
don't think he was, like, little.
Mm-mm.
So for him to call him father, I'm like, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how old he is,
Yeah,
but, like, that's kind of a big deal, and I wouldn't claim Snorri either, but, like, you don't have to really have someone that you call father.
right. No, exactly. Like he can just be Harold
Yeah.
and he's a father figure to you.
Yeah. I think that's plenty. We don't have to take it any further than that, but I guess we'll see what she says. Maybe Harold is Snorri's brother or some
Oh, yeah.
related. They're
Yeah.
blood.
Yeah.
So who knows, but at the end of the day, like, she didn't develop the characters that we actually were interested in,
No,
so
she didn't develop
I
like
don't have
any.
anything to say about them, even though I want to have something to say.
Exactly. So, moving right along, who was your favorite character?
Bodil.
I put the same.
But I
Um,
can't say much else about her because, I did think that her death was really stupid and
mhm.
wasteful. It was not even a huge, like, moment.
No, not at all, and I think that she attempted to really make something of it because she was like, I kept going back to it, like replaying it. I couldn't witness it again, all of this stuff. But she kind of like didn't follow up then on that later. And she had already killed off someone who was going to be like a potential friend. And you just keep killing off every person who is like potentially going to be an ally to Freya. So I don't know. I felt the same way. I don't feel strongly about Bodil, but
But she was the only one we had, like,
literally
literally.
literally the only person that I had any kind of, like, fondness to
Yeah.
beyond the main characters, which honestly, like, I don't necessarily feel fondly
No,
for
me
them.
either, and may she rest because she was, like, the
May she
leader of the
rest.
story.
May she rest.
Okay, so do you have a favorite scene?
I do, actually. The sacrifice of the bull at Fjaltender, when we hit that point, I was like, "Okay, something like, now we're cooking with grease. We're getting something going." The way it fell flat, like, immediately after, I thought it was so good, like,
It was crazy, like, all the gods come down? All of the gods come down?
and I liked that people could witness it. It wasn't this thing where Freya was the only
Only one seeing
person,
it.
kinda
Yeah.
like the what was it, like the ghost, I forgot what that was called too.
Oh, what was that thing? I feel like it started with an S. Everything started with an S, so I
Yeah,
don't know, it's all kinda running
I can't
together.
remember, but, she was the only one who could see that. She was the only one that could see, like, whatever happened to her when she got the tattoo. I was glad that everybody got to see it and, like, witness that. That was, like,
Yeah.
really exciting, and I kept thinking because she says, like, Freya started to feel, like, really lightheaded, like, the drums were getting to her, all this stuff. I was like, "She has built up this moment, like, something crazy is about to happen,"
And then
and
she had just drunk too much mead?
no, literally.
I was like, "When did we learn that she was blackout drunk?" I
No,
never learned that.
literally, I was getting, like, really excited. I was like, "Oh my god," but she does slit the throat, and I'm like, "Whew, thank God." I'm, like, really feeling some heightened
Yeah,
emotions. Immediately after, drop back off, and, like, I'm bored again. I just yeah.
I know,
So
and you're telling me that you got dropped back off in the cabin, locked in there, Bjorn's in there,
mhm,
and nothing happened. Like, he ran off.
she just fingered herself. So, yeah, anyway, what was your favorite scene?
Okay, so favorite scene, I have 2 things.
Okay.
So, first one was her killing Viragi at the very beginning.
So good.
That was whenever you would text me saying that you don't like the book, and I was like, "No, this good thing just happened." Like, I promise it gets good.
Yeah.
That had just happened. She'd been taken off with Snorri. I was like, "This is getting good."
Mhm.
Like, things are about to start really, really,
Yeah.
moving forward. So, I liked that scene. And then she, like, had to get doctored by Bjorn. It was just like
Yeah.
it really brought the people together.
Yeah.
Second favorite scene was, the wood scene where they have a little hookup because so she goes and she sees that, like, thing.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
What's it
yeah.
called? The thing that's burning. I don't even know what it's called, but
I forgot.
she sees it. It's burning. She follows it. It points to the tree.
Uh-huh.
She goes to see the tree, and then Bjorn's just, like, there.
Right. He was meeting with his mother.
Obviously, he was the one, yeah. Um, so then they're walking back, and they hook up, and
Okay,
and that's when
yeah.
he says, like, she tells him she's avoiding him because she has feelings for him. So that's the first time it's, like, said out loud.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed that little snippet.
Okay, that one was really good too, and I think that was also the first time that he was like because I think they had kinda had, like, the fake hookup at Fjaltender,
Yeah.
and then this was, like, pretty much. Oh, yeah, it was immediately after because the person relayed, like, Snorri's speech about,
Yeah.
the village getting burnt. That was really good.
Yeah, I liked that scene a lot. And it was another one where I was like, "Okay, great turning point. Let's
Mhm.
move this romance forward."
Yes.
And then nothing. So
Mhm.
anyway,
Yeah.
it lived a good life in its little moment, but it never moved forward
Right,
after that.
exactly,
It kinda
exactly.
burned out. Okay. So let's move to our favorite segment, shit talking, as if we
Mhm.
haven't already done enough of that.
Right.
But what was your least favorite scene?
Um, the very beginning. as I said, why did we meet Bjorn so soon? I hated
What was he
it.
doing in the water? Why did she throw a fish at him? Like, there was not really ever an explanation of what he was doing.
Stop. The fish feels like Facebook humor
Yeah.
for boomers, literally. Like, I literally didn't think it was funny when it happened. I was like, okay, that's no.
Yeah, it's like it's lame, it's cheeky, it's corny, it's just
Yes. Yes, and I feel like the author, like, thought she ate with that. She was like, "Oh, yeah, like, the girls are gonna get a kick out of this." I literally was like,
and then at the
"Stop."
end, he's like, "And then a girl, like, threw a fish at me," like,
Ew.
okay.
No, I seriously hated it. I hated how she, like, sees him and she's, like, lusting after him, like, so
Immediately.
and it's like, don't now I know the whole I have nothing to look forward to from
Yep.
this point on.
Exactly, exactly. It should have been some he should have not popped up until it was time for Snorri to pick somebody who was involved in her fate to, like,
Yeah.
watch over her, and
Yeah.
then all of a sudden, there's, like, this hot, like, god of a man. I'm like,
100%.
"What the fuck was he doing on page 6 or whatever?"
Give me at least 30% before I'm even have any, like, inkling of who the male main character is going to be.
Especially since you weren't developing their romance in that time frame anyway, there was not really a reason for him to be involved.
Exactly.
Maybe for
So
the acts, but that's it.
no, literally. What about you? What was your least favorite?
Mine was just like the entire montage of her going like mad after Bodil is murdered when she like sees red and runs off and almost gets herself killed, but then they take over Grendel. So then he's like, okay, well, we have to do this song about it. And then Bjorn shows her everyone and they're all like terrified of her. I'm like, okay, you guys need to grow up. Do you want to conquer or do you not?
Right. Like, you're following this piece of shit who literally, like, what are you afraid of? What are you following him for?
Yeah. And his whole plan is to unite the kingdom by force
Right.
with her. You knew that to begin with.
Right.
And you saw all the gods, however many there are, come down. So why aren't you like more like in awe of her or thanking her for saving your fucking
No,
asses?
literally. Literally.
Because you were all toast.
Yeah. So, like, you're welcome.
I don't know.
I didn't really particularly enjoy the song aspect of things.
No, it was weird. Again, cool idea,
Mhm.
terrible execution.
Completely
And
agree.
then they're like, "Don't get blackout drunk this time or whatever. Don't drink too much mead this time." I'm like, "Well, she didn't even do that the first time. That was just
No.
made up on the back end."
Yeah, no, like, literally, I don't know. Everything just seems to fall flat for me in this book, and I'll get into let's just keep going.
Okay.
One thing about the plot or the book in general that you hated or would change?
Okay. I think I've already said everything on this except for one thing, but the way the romance came out of thin air
Mhm.
and all of a sudden everyone's in love with each other
Mhm.
with no prior build up.
Mhm.
And there wasn't anything special about their interactions either enough to make them like enemies because it was almost like they were each other's opposition for a second.
Mhm.
And I was thinking, oh, this is gonna be Cassie and Nesta type of thing.
Mm.
Um, that never happened. And then one day he just sort of decided that he wasn't gonna be mad about guarding her anymore. So I don't know what happened between those couple days that made
Right.
him decide. It was just really weird and too easy.
Completely agree. Nothing happened, like, between them that they were, like, really getting to know each other. They just I mean, sure, they spent some time together, but it wasn't, like, really developing any kind of relationship, be it, like, a friendship or a romantic relationship. Nothing was, like, really happening.
No, yeah.
They really weren't, like you said, in opposition of one another. Like, sure, they had to fight each other at the beginning, but, like, that was forced upon them. Neither one of them wanted to do that.
Yeah,
So
I hated that. Other thing that I said was, like, how sad it was the whole time. Well, to me, at least, I just felt so bad for Freya. Like,
mhm.
she would finally get one thing, and then she would take 10 steps backward,
Yeah.
or they would figure out one thing and then he would take him across the freaking continent to a
Yeah.
different place to try to conquer.
Right.
It was just there wasn't enough downtime, there wasn't enough development time, it was just boom, 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 and the whole time, she's just having to blindly follow these people and be worried about her family the whole time, like, I don't know.
Yeah. You're so right. Like, I hadn't considered that, but there's no victories for her in this book, I don't
She hasn't
believe.
had any, and then the very end, whenever she's finally allowed to be dead to everyone and do her own thing, that is not even real either.
Exactly. Her only, like, win is that she got Bjorn, but, like, he kinda fucked that up a little bit too.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Well, I'm like, "Damn, at least she got a man who had a plan this whole time."
no, what's killing me is, like, she's powerful. Like, she's literally more powerful than these people. So,
Yeah.
like, fuck them.
Literally, fuck them.
Leave. Like, literally leave. I don't know. We talk about this in our personal lives all the time, but people who are the victim and will complain and moan and gripe and they don't do anything to help themselves.
It's Freya.
It Freya,
It is, and
literally,
I'm sorry, but, like, your family that treated you like shit your whole life is not a good enough excuse to condemn yourself.
no.
S
Especially at the end when, like, you're well aware that your family is literally using you and pretty much always has been your entire
Yeah,
life.
and they expect you to continue doing that for them
Yeah.
for nothing in return.
Yeah.
It's
So
crazy. It's so crazy.
so crazy.
What about you?
Um, the way that we needed a map so bad,
100%?
the way that we needed a guide to the gods, at least like a list of the gods, what they're the god of. Seriously, because there was a lot of travel involved in this. I can't picture anything. I genuinely don't know what a fjord is. And I've googled it and I've looked up like the definition, and the way that it was described in the book is not what like Merriam-Webster has listed for the definition of a fjord. She needed to draw me a map. I'm sorry. Like maybe I'm an idiot for saying that, but
No, I think it's fair because I kept thinking that there was a map and on flip back and there would be nothing.
yeah.
It's just expected as far as fantasy goes, especially if you're calling this a series.
No, literally, like the Bridge Kingdom has a map. It fucking sucks, but at least you have like a general idea. This, I have no idea. And she tells you like Scotland and Nordland are just like across, I think she says like a strait from one another. But like in my mind, they're like a multiple days boat ride away from one another. But I don't think that they are.
I don't think so because at the end, whenever she's like Nordland's coming into view, and they
Yeah.
just get on that fucking boat?
Yes, and she also says, like, it's a day's ride from her village, but, like, there's multiple villages along the way. I don't understand, like, where anything is.
No, I definitely thought Nordland was north of
Yeah, I
Scotland,
don't
so who knows?
yeah, I don't know. That's my thing, like, if I was gonna add one thing to this book, it would be that. So, do you have any hot takes?
Um, I think we've pretty much said them all. The only other one that I I like, I don't know if this is just me, but I understand that she would benefit from her mom being dead, but I really didn't feel like she needed to die.
Mm, okay.
I didn't really like it, to be honest, because now it's like
Okay.
she's already spiraling, I guess.
Mhm.
And so this thing is gonna send her further into a spiral.
Yeah.
If we could have gotten some semblance of like normalcy with her and Guy and Ingrid and the baby
Yeah.
off somewhere, safe, out of the way, but nothing to do with Freya anymore,
Yeah.
that would be perfect.
I actually completely agree, and I wish that that would have been Freya's plan all along. It's just like get them out so that you can deal with your shit yourself, because it would seriously not be hard to get your family off away somewhere like never to be seen or heard from
Well, how would
again.
she know? Because she wasn't trained in anything. She wasn't trained in battle. She wasn't trained in magic. She wasn't trained in war, politics, like
No.
planning, nothing.
Mm-mm.
Like it would have taken what, a month or two to get all of that hashed out, and then
Yeah.
she would have felt comfortable getting
Yeah.
this stuff done. But
It I
she's
just
helpless. That's what it feels like the
no,
whole time.
literally. And it's like you have Bjorn at your disposal who literally hates his dad and like is working against him as well alongside you. And like she was aware of that. Please like consult someone. Just
Please, a professional.
100%. Yeah, I agree.
Ugh, the whole thing. Okay, hot takes for you.
I genuinely don't have any. And normally I can come up with one. I don't have feelings about this book. The only feeling that I have is sadness, which I'll get into. So let's go ahead and talk about our overall thoughts. So I'm dying to know what your star rating was.
Okay, I did 3.5,
Okay.
mainly because I thought this is how you end a book. So I had this
Okay.
really good sense of I want to know what happens next.
Mhm.
I feel like that's how you do a cliffhanger. She has nobody.
Yeah.
She's going off into this new land. She hates Bjorn right
Mhm.
now, which is really doing something for me.
Okay.
Bjorn is going to try to win her back over, but she also has to figure out who the fuck she is.
Mhm.
And from what I this is my own imagination playing, she should probably reach out to us for like plotting
Yeah,
on the next book.
100%.
But in a perfect world, they wouldn't pressure her to do anything right away as far as like,
Mhm.
taking over the continent
Yeah.
or whatever the world. So she could like have time to relax and be by herself and figure out training and
Yeah.
magic and make a friend. Maybe Skada can be her friend.
Mhm.
I think the second book has such potential that I actually want to read it. But the
Okay.
first one is just I gave it a 3.5 for the potential that the rest of the series has because of the
Okay.
ending.
Okay, so that was gonna be a question. Do you think you'll read the second book when it comes
I
out?
don't know when does it come out?
I don't even think she's like, and I mean, this
Okay.
one just came out, and so
We'll
I don't
see where
know.
I'm at when that happens. If it's been too long and I would need to like reread this before it came out,
Yeah,
then
probably not.
probably not. I guess I could listen to this episode and just get a refresher.
So true.
But if it's not gonna be 2 years, then sure, maybe I'll read it if I have
Yeah.
time. But it's not like something I'm crazy about. I wanted to give it more stars because of the little points in between where I was like, "Ooh, I loved that. Ooh, I loved
Mhm.
that." But it didn't come together in a way that like deserved 4 or 5
Yeah.
stars.
Okay.
What about you?
Okay, so I went with 3.75 stars because
Okay.
I did not feel that this book, and I have like a lot to say about this. I like wrote a whole paragraph. I didn't feel that this book was a 3.5, and I didn't feel like it was 4 stars.
I really, really went back and forth. I literally wrote 4 and then I wrote 3.5, so I'm like, "Whatever," and then I just put
Okay.
loved the ending.
Okay. So I'm going to start with a positive. I was obsessed with the pronunciation guide. Like, seriously? It was so fucking funny and it provided immense entertainment for me. Sometimes
It
I would
did.
just go through and like press play on them just so I could hear like these insane pronunciations. This was definitely better than Bridge Kingdom, like
Okay.
far and away. Even though the beginning of Bridge Kingdom, like she starts out strong. It's like fucking sick, the beginning of Bridge Kingdom. The concept is like incredible and it so quickly declines. But
Damn.
anyway, um I'm like genuinely upset that this book was not better. Like
The potential was really there.
100%. And this author is like really like well respected in like the fantasy
Yeah.
world. And I just have to just call it like I don't think that she's a good author. And I take absolutely no joy in saying that because I don't like sometimes we get on here and just talk shit about a book.
Yeah.
And I like
We do be doing
actually
that.
I actually like feel really bad that I don't like this book. Like I don't
No, no,
want
no. I felt bad giving. I was like, "Ugh, I don't want to not give it 4 stars because I
mhm.
feel like people really enjoy it or her books in general,
Yeah.
and I don't think it's a bad concept. I was talking to one of the girls on the beach trip I went to
Uh-huh.
last weekend about this book. I was like, it's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
I wasn't finished, but she was like, "Oh, is it Fae?" And I said, "No." And she said, "Oh, is it vampires?" And I was like, "No, it's actually like something totally different, which
Uh-huh.
is kind of new and fresh." And
Yeah.
I was super excited about it. And then I finished it and I was like, the ending was so good, but there was just so much that I wanted to be better.
Totally. It just falls flat in a lot of ways. Like she can build a story and it just doesn't develop. I don't like her writing style. Sometimes I even felt like the sentences were hard to read. Like
I totally agree. And even whenever I was listening to some of them, I would be like, what did that say?"
100%. I feel like this is what irks me is that it's not overtly corny and it's riding just below the surface of being like obviously corny, and it was pissing me off. Like, this is the thing. I felt like in her mind, the way that she was executing her ideas felt really grand and like Sarah J. Maas level, and it was just not hitting. It didn't land the way that she wanted it to, and I was just more like cringing than
I would have read 50 more pages to get actual details and background and everything, and
literally,
it wouldn't have taken much more than that
literally.
to really do it.
Completely agree. That's my next point. The descriptions I felt like I was were terrible. Like the settings, I couldn't picture things because I felt like she wasn't doing a very good job describing it. Even at one point, she said, like Freya says, like, so I like backed up so I could get a run and go. And I was like, weren't you on your knees? Like, and I would go back and like read
Yes,
things
me too.
to
Yeah.
try to get like an understanding of where I was when she was describing how she snuck out of the cabin and she saw Harold speaking to someone. The way I literally could not picture that, it made no fucking sense in my mind physically where anyone
No,
was.
no, because the way I pictured it it's just so crazy. Have you seen Hercules, the cartoon?
Not in a very long time.
Okay, but what if I say let me just say this part. Okay, so do you know how there's, like, Zeus's, like, chair or
Yeah,
whatever, and
yeah.
Hercules, not Hercules is sitting in it, but Hades is sitting in it, and he's, like,
Okay.
looking down he's, like, huge, and he's looking down, like, I pictured Harold, like, this huge man, and, like, the mom is just, like, standing there. It was so we like, nothing was described properly, so my brain was just doing whatever it
No,
could do to fill it
literally,
in.
I literally had to just say at one point, like, "No, this is just how I'm gonna picture it, and
Yeah,
I can't, like, check up on that, I just have to move on, otherwise I'm gonna be stuck here for a very long
yeah,
time."
and it's, like, it's not like she's gonna describe it again, so it doesn't really
No,
matter.
no, literally. So, anyway, everything that I'm saying, like, it feels more like haunted confessions, like, having to say all this than it does talking shit. Like, I feel really, really bad that
Yeah.
I didn't like this book because I wanted to so
I wanted to
badly.
too, and I was so, so excited, and it's not like "Oh, I regret reading this," or
Right.
anything, and I obviously would love the second one if I could have, like, it now. I would read it
Yeah.
quickly.
No, I agree. I think that this is way better written than a lot of KU books that I've read. Like I've read some that are just like real shit.
Yeah, totally.
But in terms of story development, maybe those authors do a little bit better job. I don't know. I can't like explain what I'm trying to say. Maybe this is just like the edited version, the professionally edited version of what the girls on KU are writing.
Yeah, I think so too, because it does, kind of toe the line of corny, but also she would say certain things that were, like, common now kind of
Yeah.
lingo, not as bad as, like, JLA or anything,
Yeah.
but then she was saying "arse," and I'm like, "We have to kind of pick. If we're really
Right.
gonna go with Norse, we probably should say some more of those words
Uh-huh.
instead of saying" I don't even have an example, but there were a couple.
When she kept saying, "Take a piss," I literally like, why would you say that? She was like, "Oh, she probably went to take a piss," talking about Ylva, and then literally, like, a couple minutes later, it was like, "Oh, Bjorn must have gone to take a piss."
I do not remember that at all.
I hated it. Anyway, let's keep moving. What about chilies? What was your chili rating?
Okay, I put 1.5 to 2.
Okay.
I very much enjoyed her scenes.
I
She
agree.
killed it.
Completely
She should just
agree.
write smut, like
Yeah.
or, like, regular romance,
Yeah.
because I think the fantasy is too much for her, 'cause the combination has made it such that she's not developing the fantasy story, but she's not developing the romance, but the sex is fire.
No, I completely agree. I was going to give this one chili because I was like thinking about it ahead of time, trying to decide. And then, like, at the end, she really gets you. Like, she gets you good. And
Oh, yeah,
it almost was like Carissa Broadbent style, where like she's kind of like leading you up, leading you up, leading
and
you
then
up.
you get
And
4
yeah,
pages.
and it's like so good.
Yeah,
So I said 1.5, and I feel comfortable with that. This was like a really good level of spice for me. Like,
yeah.
if the romance aspect had been built up in the same nature as the spice,
Oh, I would've eaten it up. I
100%.
probably would've given it 4.5.
No, literally, like,
Like, develop the fantasy or develop the romance. I don't care, but
right.
develop something.
Develop literally one thing. Yeah,
Please.
that's how I felt. So, yeah. Any final thoughts?
No, final thoughts for me are I'm surprised at the stars that you gave it from like moment one of this podcast. You were like jumping down her throat. But
Mm-hmm.
honestly, I feel like we're on the same page
Yeah.
about the book.
And it was really fun because we didn't talk about it at all. Like, I was gonna die if you came on this episode and were like, no, I loved it. Like, I was gonna feel really bad.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that we did it
Well, I
this
was
way.
worried. I was like, God, whenever I say 3.5 or 4 stars, Katie's going to be like 2 because I was like, damn, she kind of hated it. But honestly, there were parts that were so good.
Mhm.
Um, I don't want to throw any more dirt on her name because
Yeah,
I don't know any of her other books, but
yeah,
honestly, it wasn't a hit, but it wasn't a miss.
I agree. I'm like really conflicted as to whether or not I would recommend this to
I actually
someone.
agree. I'm not going to say should be on your TBR, especially if you're just now getting into fantasy.
Right.
There's so many better things you could spend your time
That's what I
reading.
think. I think I would say to someone who has read literally everything else, I would say give this a try. I don't necessarily think that it is a fantastic book, but I do think that it's better than a lot of the shit on KU.
Yeah.
Um, that's kind of where I stand
Yeah.
with it.
Should I have purchased it on 3 platforms? Probably not.
Oh my god.
But I had
Definitely
to do what I had to do to
not.
get through.
That's so funny. This book of all
I
books.
know. So, let's just say I am taking a breather, reading some rom-coms,
Mhm.
and I cannot wait.
Okay. So, speaking of rom-coms, would you like to share what our next book is going to be?
I would love to. I could not be more fucking excited
Mhm.
because the next book that we're gonna read is totally off the rails of what we usually do, but we're gonna do Funny Story by Emily Henry.
No, I am so fucking excited. It's gonna be really fun to do an episode on a rom-com. We've never done one before. I'm like a little bit nervous because are we gonna have much to
I
say?
wonder that too, but since hers are so much thicker, I think there will be some things to
Yeah.
discuss. Also, because it's in the United States and in a
Yeah.
specific place, like, whatever, there we can probably get into like more nuanced details.
So true.
So,
Emily does such a good job pulling at your heartstrings and making you feel like I've felt that emotion before. Like I know exactly what she's
yeah.
going through, especially when it comes to like heartbreak and things of that nature. So I'm really, really excited. We're like Emily girls. Like
Oh, through and through.
I
She's so
just,
impressive.
it's 100%. I just know I'm going to give this, it's going to be such a good read for us. We're going to rate it highly. The thing is that like we're not people who are critical of rom coms. So like,
It might be a little bit tough to have like really, really like opinionated
yeah,
things to
yeah,
say.
yeah,
But if you're looking for something light and the books that we read are like not usually in your genre, this could be one to
100%.
get you in the club.
Yeah,
We would love to have
100%.
you.
Yes.
And honestly, Emily Henry, like, she does no wrong. If you haven't read any of her stuff yet because you're more of a fantasy person, take this opportunity to actually try it out because
Yeah.
book lovers, Happy Place, those two are my favorites. And
Same.
then
Beach read.
Beach Read. Actually, I think I like Beach Read better than Happy Place.
Mm.
Anyway, all four are good. Here comes her number 5. She's literally has 5 books and they have all been best-selling. So,
No, literally, like she is an absolute queen. I'm obsessed with her. I'm so fucking excited
me too.
to
I
read
cannot wait.
this. And
It's going
yeah,
to be the perfect start to our summer.
100%.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning into The Club, the book club podcast that hopefully will put you to sleep. We are available on Apple, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcasts, really. We are also available on YouTube. So if you are a YouTube video watcher, we would love to have you there. Drop a comment, subscribe to our channel, and leave a thumbs up on our video. And if you want to submit books for us to read, we are totally open for the rest of the summer. I don't think that we have anything else lined up for fall either. So
Mm-mm.
drop us a DM. Katie is always in those things. We
Mm-hmm.
also have book recommendations on our Instagram stories pretty often. We are
Yep.
at Girlies of the Club on Instagram, and we hope to see you there. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.